All right, we're here with South Carolina track and field head coach Curtis Frye. Coach, you had your season debut for the indoor at the USC Open #1 on Saturday here at home. A lot of new faces getting involved with pretty much every single event. You had a lot of new people stepping in for you guys. What were your first impressions on the newcomers, and how do you feel the team did overall?
Well, a lot of enthusiasm. We expected, and that we got that. We were in a two-a-day period of training. We came back early, and lots of them didn't come back as fit as we expected, so they were a little sore. Those that worked really hard, we could tell early on in the week when we started practicing on Monday, and so we didn't taper them. We went on and let them stay loaded, but we expected high energy and performance. We tried to. We crossed our fingers, hoping that we weren't going to get any injuries doing an overload period and competing. Because when you compete, you got to back off a little bit. So that was kind of a training meet for mature, older athletes. But for some of the younger ones, they were energized, but then a little frightful and afraid of their first college track meet. And we saw the result from that, but those were expected, So we got what we put in. We got what we expected. So we're still at undefeated. The season's opening this coming week. As long as you get through a meet and you get what you expected, then you stay at undefeated. But if you're getting less or you're exceeding, then you kind of think, well, that's a win. Well, we didn't get a win, but we didn't get a loss.
And now, one weekend in, like you said, you got a big weekend coming up at Texas A&M for the team invitational, and then you have a bunch of other athletes going to Virginia Tech for an equally strong meet with a lot of teams that are nationally ranked. What are you looking forward to in this second weekend when they're not coming off those two-a-days and they're not as fatigued? You seem like they're going to be locked in a little bit more this weekend.
We think we are. The excitement from these week coming up, the coaches are a little bit more excited. Again, phone calls on Tuesday night about yesterday's practice from some of our coaches, and that's a good sign. That means that our athlete, after having a weekend's meet by Tuesday, is starting to feel the energy or the opportunity to go to these next two meets. And so that fear, that factor of that this is one that counts kind of attitude, going to Texas A&M is big. And so we're trying to give our kids an opportunity to perform, and not go into the meet heavy-legged and fatigued. We actually, though, last week we had some athletes that despite the fact they had a tough training period and that they had a long holiday off, Atunde had a great track meet, and Gabby had a great track meet. And so there were some athletes that put together some great events last week. Tanisha Taylor had a great track meet, and so we added in. And guys last week, if you talk about TT, first time 60 out, had his personal best, lifetime best in 55 meters, and David Winters, a good introduction to college track on a Division I level, coming from junior college, sitting out for a year, and so not his personal best, but a very good opener and a win versus TT. So those kind of things were good last week. We had a personal best out of Devon, just coming off 2 years of knee surgery and limping through last year, and then so we saw promise. For events that we can run inside of that building, because that's a tough place to run. It's a square, 250 meters. And so the other athletes that ran in that meet, they survived. The ones that went around and around, it's so difficult to have personal bests. And so our big thing was let's get a contest in. And so I think our coaches did a good job of keeping kids under wrap and understanding that.
And it's got to be encouraging as a staff to see, especially in the men's field events. I think you swept every single field event that you had on Saturday, and a lot of those athletes had, marks that were better than we saw late last season. In those events, you had, Simon Gillinston on the pole vault hitting 5 meters, and I don't think anyone on the team did that last year. And you have Josh Awatunde getting a new personal best at the very first meet. That's got to feel good as a coach, because so much of track seems to be getting better each weekend, and you're already hitting a high point, heading into the first weekend.
Well, we're excited about that, but this weekend tells a great deal more. There wasn't a lot of pressure in the meet that we had last week. We're at home. Um, we practice on, even though it's a difficult place to pole vault, we do run down that runway, which is a hard runway. It doesn't have the elevation and things that you'll have this week at A&M. So it's encouraging when you see our vaulters do well on that, and it's encouraging when we have some of our high jumpers jump off on jump off an AstroTurf field. That's not, those are not track track things, but we use them, and we think that is an advantage when we get in a position of where you're in a great atmosphere and a great facility with great things. Our excitement is that, this is coming to the last year that we're going to be in a situation where our kids have to compete off an AstroTurf field. And so, I mean, there's so much enthusiasm about that. The creation of our new track that's going on outside. So we got so much energy around us right now, the positive from our kids because of those kind of things, the possibilities of so many returners and things like that. They're creating an energy, and we're just hoping it's infectious to our younger ones.
All right. Thank you for your time, Coach.
Hey, thanks a lot.